What's going on, everyone? So welcome to my latest video via live stream. Of course, you clicked on the video so you know that I'm doing my final Academy Award predictions for 2025. Now, I'm not going to lie, one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this was because I keep going back and forth in many categories. So this is my way of saying, you know what? This is it. This is it finally. There are so many categories where I keep going back and forth. So this is my way of saying, yep, place my bets on these categories. And what I'm going to do is with each category, I'm going to give what I think is going to win and what I'm putting money on versus what I personally would vote for. So I also look forward to seeing the comments of what you guys would want versus what you guys think will win. So I'm excited to do this. Should be about an hour live stream. So buckle up and yeah, let's get started. So I'm going to share the screen. This is the same ballot that I'm using. So I'm going to go based on what the ballot's showcasing. So the first category is actor in a leading role. So for mine, I have Adrian Brody for The Brutalist. Now, that being said, there is an argument to be made that Timothée Chalamet will win for A Complete Unknown, especially since he won at SAG. And I could definitely see that narrative, especially since he would be the youngest Best Actor to win. And ironically enough, the youngest to won Best Actor was Adrian Brody. So I could definitely see that happening, but would I be happy about that? No. I like Timothée Chalamet, and I'm probably one of the biggest fans of Timothée Chalamet, but as good as the performance was, I don't even think it's top three performances for me of the best leading actor role. For me, Adrian Brody would be number one. Then I would probably have Sebastian Stan as The Apprentice. In The Apprentice, although he technically is The Apprentice. And then Ralph Fiennes for Conclave. Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing. And then last but not least, Timothée Chalamet for Complete Unknown. So as you can see, I wouldn't necessarily be happy if Timothée Chalamet won. So I'm placing my bets on Adrian Brody for The Brutalist. So let me know what you think will win versus what you hope will win. So next one, let's go down one. We have actor in a supporting role. So this is pretty much a lock. You can bet the house on this that Kieran Culkin will win for Real Pain. Now, do I want him to win? Not really. I'm a huge fan of him, especially in Succession. I liked A Real Pain quite a bit. But again, I think that he's one of the weaker nominees. Like, I personally would give it to Guy Pearce for The Brutalist or Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. But again, Kieran Culkin, he is such a good actor. So, I wouldn't be really angry if he won. But yeah, he's going to win for this category. So place the bets on that. Next up, we have actress in a leading role. This is one I've been pulling my hair out quite literally. I'm going to need even more hymns for this category. So actress in a leading role, I think we all know who is not going to win this, and that's Carla Sofia Gascon for Amelia Perez. Look, she was fantastic in the film. Say what you will about the film, which, speaking of which, Anthony A. Perez, if Amelia Perez wins anything, I'm changing my last name. Anthony and I, we always go back and forth on this film, but one thing we both agreed on was that she was, really good in the film. But if you aren't familiar with all the drama that occurred on Twitter, a lot of tweets were resurfaced, and it turns out that she's not exactly the best person. Now, of course, you're always supposed to separate the art from the artist. I'm personally someone that agrees to that, but there's no way she has a snowball chance in hell at winning this. So she's out. Cynthia Erivo, I know that a lot of people love Wicked, but she's not going to win for this. So it really comes down to Mikey Madison for Nora, Demi Moore for The Substance, Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here. Now, on my sheet, I have Demi Moore going to win for The Substance, but I could 100% see, I could really see Fernanda Torres pulling an upset win, especially since so many people are going to be going back and forth between Mikey Madison for Nora and Demi Moore for The Substance. So they might cancel each other out, and that might lead to Fernanda Torres winning for I'm Still Here. So I could definitely see that happening, especially with the international branching out even more. So I have Demi Moore winning for The Substance. Who do I want to win? I want Demi Moore to win for The Substance. I think she delivers a fantastic performance. And it would also be really nice to see a performance for a horror film winning. I mean, the last time, if I'm not mistaken, I think the last time that someone won for a horror film in an acting category was The Silence of the Lambs, I believe. So that's a long, long time. So it's overdue. So that is actress in a leading role. Apologies, late at night I did take a Celsius, but actress in a supporting role. So this is This is also a tough category. I know everyone says that Zoe Saldana is a lock for Amelia Perez, and to be honest with you, I have her down on winning in this category. But don't be surprised if Isabella Rossellini wins for Conclave. Don't be surprised in the slightest. And the reason why I say that is because she's someone that's quite beloved in the industry. And even though it's a limited amount of screen time, think about it. Judi Dench won for Shakespeare in Love all those years ago for such a limited amount of screen time. So it's not out of the question. Ariana Grande for Wicked, I don't think that she's paid her due, so to speak. So I don't think they're going to give her it. Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, I think it's a fantastic performance, but let's be honest, several Academy members have came out and say that they haven't even finished The Brutalist, and we saw that some people were saying that about The Power of the Dog, and The Power of the Dog ended up winning only one Oscar. So I think that Ariana Grande and Felicity Jones are definitely out. Monica Barbaro for A Complete Unknown, I think she's great in the film. She's a really good actress, but it might also be one of those things where because she's just getting started in the industry that they might not give it to her. So it's really between Isabella Rossellini for Conclave and Zoe Saldana for Amelia Perez. Who do I want to win? Zoe Saldana for Amelia Perez. Who do I have money on? Zoe Saldana for Amelia Perez. I think she's going to win, but it's not exactly 100% locked the way that Kieran Culkin is for Best Supporting Actor. But place your bets on Zoe Saldana for Amelia Perez. Next up, we have Animated Feature. And here's the thing about animated feature film. This was a great year for animated features. I mean, for crying out loud, like Memoir of a Snail was in my top 10. Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Foul was an honorable mention. And then Flow was just outside of my honorable mentions. The Wild Robot, honestly, that and Inside Out 2 are the weaker links of this category. And ironically enough, The Wild Robot, I do think will win Best Animated Feature. Do I think The Wild Robot should win? No. In fact, I think that there's three other better films in this category, and that's, of course, Flow, Memoir of a Snail, and Wallace and Gromit: Adventures Most Foul. So I think there's an outside chance that Flow could win, but because The Wild Robot's just been picking up so many awards on the circuit, I think The Wild Robot will win in this category, and I have it down for that. Next up, we have Animated Short Film, which I just want to preface that normally, even though I've been watching the Oscars for a long time, normally this category, I guess, because I just haven't seen the nominees for animated short film and live action short film. But this year, I actually made a point to watch all the animated short films and live action films. And I'm happy I did that. That being said, it does make it even more difficult because an animated short film, I love Magic Candies and I love Beautiful Man. All the other ones I thought were okay. And there's definitely a argument to be made that Yuck could win, especially since Yuck is a film that's kind of safe, but it's also at the same time entertaining. But I think I really do think Beautiful Men will win. What do I hope wins? Beautiful Men. Beautiful Men was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. As someone that uses hymns, know this stream is not sponsored by hymns, although it should be. As someone that uses Beautiful Men, uses hymns, I was really able to relate to Beautiful Men. So I think Beautiful Men's going to win in this category. So place your money on it, but don't be surprised if Yuck wins, unfortunately. We have Can't Articulate in the chat. What's up, Chad? Can't Articulate, it's good to hear from you, man. I am doing this, live stream. I know it's unorthodox for doing it on a Thursday night, but in terms of my availability for the next couple of days, this was the available slot for me. So I was like, I'm going to do this live stream for the Oscars. So let me know some of your predictions as we go along, Can't Articulate. I'm very curious because I know you two have been watching a lot of these nominations. So that was animated short film. Beautiful Men is what I think will win. Next up, one of my favorite categories, we have cinematography. So for cinematography, this one, I really don't think it's a competition. I think The Brutalist will win. And to be honest with you, I think it should win as well. The Brutalist cinematography was fantastic. But these are all really good nominees. I mean, there are some times where I'll look at one or two nominations and I'm like, this could have been replaced with other ones. But these are all really good. And I like the fact that 3 of these films were shot on film. So that's always a plus. But yeah, I'm happy with all these nominees. But The Brutalist will win, and it should win as well. Bootzilla's in the chat. Bootzilla says hello, Chad and chat. It's good to hear from you, Bootzilla. I really want to hear some of you guys' predictions for these. Can't Articulate Brutalist wins for cinematography for me. Awesome. Yeah, I really do hope that The Brutalist picks up some Oscar wins. I hope it's not like The Power of the Dog where it just came home with one Oscar. That was something that really frustrated me because I think Coda's good, but the fact that it won more than The Power of the Dog, it really bummed me out. Next up, we have costume design, and this one I'm not happy to give you guys what I think will win, but I have to say it. What I think will win is Wicked. What I think should win is either Gladiator 2 or Nosferatu. Leaning more towards Nosferatu. It could be because I rewatched it last night, but Wicked, it's fine. I like the costume design better in Wizard of Oz, but it is what it is. Nosferatu's costume design is pretty incredible though. So place your bets on Wicked. Wicked will actually probably win a couple Oscars, unfortunately, but yeah, I would love if Nosferatu somehow, some way pulled up an upset. And next up, we got to go up 1 second. Scroll over. Sorry, guys, the Celsius is still kicking in. All right, here we go. This one's going to be fun. Directing. So this is one I've been pulling my hair out also. I'm going to need even more hymns by the time Oscar night comes around. So this really comes down to this. Emilia Perez is out. Emilia Perez doesn't have a shot for winning for Best Directing. Same with The Substance. Unfortunately, even though it's my favorite film of the year, I have realistic expectations. I know it's not going to win. James Mangold for A Complete Unknown, I don't see it happening. I know it was a surprise that he got a DGA nomination and even got nominated for this. So it really comes down to Anora and The Brutalist. It really comes down to Sean Baker and Brady Corbet. And I think it goes like this. I would love if The Brutalist won. And I think that Brutalist has such a huge ambition that I think it could win. But Sean Baker's been picking up so much steam with Anora. So I could see the Academy leaning towards that, especially since from what I've been reading, some people just haven't been finishing The Brutalist in terms of those that vote, which I don't know how you can be an Academy member and not finish a film, but here we are. So I think that a lot of people are going to be leaning towards Anora for voting. So I think that Sean Baker will win for Best Directing. But if The Brutalist wins in this category, I will be ecstatic. I will be really, really happy. But again, I try to have realistic expectations. So I think Sean Baker will win for Anora. Next up, this was a very difficult one, but mostly that comes down to simply that I haven't seen any of these. Documentary feature and documentary short film, I had to guess. From what I read up, it seems like documentary feature film, it's between No Other Land and Porcelain War. And I ended up going with No Other Land because even though it doesn't have a distributor, it's the one documentary that I have consistently heard great things about. The other ones I haven't really heard too much about. So I do genuinely speaking believe that No Other Land will win. But if Porcelain War wins, don't be surprised. So in this category, it just comes down to, because I haven't seen any of them, I don't have a preference with what wins, but I do think that No Other Land will win. Bootzilla says Baker for director, so we're on the same page that he'll win. Yeah, I think especially since he's been in the industry longer in terms of directing. I know Brady Corbet was an actor beforehand, so it's cool and everything. It's cool to see someone go from an actor to a director, but I think that Sean Baker has the narrative that he's someone that has been in the industry for a long time in terms of directing, and it seems like people are liking his films more and more with each one that he makes. Although, again, I think I said this in one of my previous videos, I wish that he got a Best Directing nomination for Red Rocket over Anora. But, maybe I'll rewatch Anora and I'll think differently. Next up, documentary short film, as I mentioned. I haven't seen any of these nominees, but I said I'm Ready, Warden. I've heard that one is the best of the lot from several sources, so that's the one I went with. But if anyone in the chat's seen the documentary short films or of course the documentary feature films, let me know. Next up, this one also I've been pulling my hair out, and that is film editing. So film editing, take out Wicked, take out Emilia Perez, and then you have The Brutalist, Conclave, and Anora. Now, The Brutalist, some people have complained about the length. I don't know why. I've seen the film 3 times, and I am 100% down to watch it a 4th time. But not everyone's like me. So realistically speaking, The Brutalist is going to be out. So it comes down to Anora versus Conclave. And when I think of those two films, I think that Anora, the strongest part of that film is the second act. When I think of Conclave, I think of how tightly wound that film is from an editing perspective. And I know that I'm talking about my personal preference, but I really do believe that other people will feel that way as well. And I think that Conclave will win. Which do I think should win? The Brutalist. But I'll be more than happy if Conclave wins. And that's the one that I think will win. And usually, what wins best film editing, not all the time, but what wins film editing usually ends up winning the Oscars. So pay attention to this category as well as the screenplay categories. But I'm curious to hear what you guys think for that one. Next up, international feature film. What I love about international feature film is this. I've seen 4 of the 5 nominees. The only one I haven't seen is The Girl with the Needle. And this is a really good category, like really good. I really, really liked Flow. I thought The Seed of the Secret Fig was a solid film. Amelia Perez, hot take, I know. I really liked Amelia Perez, and I'm Still Here. Really good film. So, honestly, if any of these won, I wouldn't be angry. But I don't think The Seed of the Secret Fig will win. Same with The Girl with the Needle. So that leaves I'm Still Here, Amelia Perez, and Flow. Now, there is a world where Flow could actually upset and win in this category. Because if you think about it, some people are going to be having, The Wild Robot be their vote for animated feature. So that could lead some people saying, you know what, I loved Flow. I thought it was a really good film. So I'm actually going to put my slot for international feature film. It's, a long shot, but it is a possibility. So the 2 other ones, that was Amelia Perez and I'm Still Here. Now, Amelia Perez is controversial for sure, but it's a film that's still been in the chat and everything. And there is still a lot of love in the Academy for this film. That being said, last minute, I decided to go with I'm Still Here. And the reason why is because I think this Oscar ceremony is going to be spreading the love. And I think that I'm Still Here, I don't think it's going to win in any other category. So I think this is where the Academy will say, you know what, we're going to give you a bone and we're actually going to, have this film win. Because those that have seen the film, they all agree it's a good film. So I think that this is where I'm Still Here will win. So what do I want to win? I don't know, man. It's between Amelia Perez and Flo. I'm leaning more towards Amelia Perez, but again, I'm Still Here will win in this category. Place your bets on that. In the chat, Can't Articulate says The Brutalist win kind of quickly for me, actually. I agree. Honestly, that's how I felt too. But I've heard some people say that it dips in quality in the second half. I don't agree with that, but I have heard that that debate. Bootzilla says agreed. Conclave for editing. Yes, I'm honestly going to be happy if it wins. Can't Articulate. I'm Still Here for international feature film. Okay, yeah, we're on the same page. Yeah, I'm glad that we're having this. Next up, we have makeup and hairstyling. So take out Amelia Perez, even though it has really, really good makeup. Take out Nosferatu, which also has really good makeup and hairstyling. And it comes down to A Different Man, The Substance, and Wicked. Now, here's the thing. I've seen some people say that Wicked might win in this, and I will say this. I might end up becoming an Eagles fan and freak out and take down a poll if that happens, because Wicked should not win in this category. This category should be The Substance. I am betting that it's going to win for makeup and hairstyling. Like The Substance, I have down on my paper that it's going to win, and it should win. It's my choice as well. So, but it's a really good lineup. I really like this lineup. I'm happy to see Nosferatu in this. Same with Amelia Perez and A Different Man. I mean, for crying out loud, the first time that I saw Amelia Perez, yes, it's a mix of performance and makeup and hairstyling. But the first time I saw it, I didn't realize that Carla Sofia Cascan played, both pre-transition and then after transition. I didn't realize that. So again, great performance and everything, and I guess a little bit of help with sound mixing, but the makeup and hairstyling also had a lot to do with that too. So I was impressed by that. But The Substance, I think, far and away was the best makeup and hairstyling of the year. So I'm voting for that, and I'm curious to see what you guys want to win for this category and what you guys think will win. Next up, this is a category I always love. Original score. So original score, I think you can bet the house on this. Original score, The Brutalist will win. And which do I think should win? The Brutalist. It's a strong lineup, though. I mean, well, relatively strong. I think The Brutalist, Conclave, and Amelia Perez all have great scores. Wicked's score, I saw it a second time. I thought Wicked's score was very forgettable. And The Wild Robot has a solid score, but there's a couple other, original scores I would have replaced those two with. But the Brutalist, Conclave, and Amelia Perez are strong contenders. But the Brutalist will win, and I do think that it should win as well. Can't Articulate says the Brutalist for original score hands down. Yes, 100%. Yeah, I would be shocked if it didn't win. But Conclave I could see win, especially since there is a lot of love for that composer. But I think we can all bet on the Brutalist for this, thankfully. Next up, we have original song, which this is a fun one because we have Amelia Perez in two categories. And I have my money that it's going to win for El Mal. But here's the thing. It's funny because of those two songs, El Mal and Mi Camino, I actually like Mi Camino much more. In fact, that's the one I've listened to many, many times. I've listened to the soundtrack and the score for Amelia Perez many times. But specifically that song, Mi Camino, I really like it. I think it's catchy. I think it sounds great, and it just works, especially in the context of the film. But it's not going to win. El Mal is going to win. Now, there is a slight chance that one of the other nominees might win because maybe El Mal and Mi Camino will cancel each other out. It's a possibility, but I do think at the same time El Mal from Amelia Perez will win. So El Mal will win. Mi Camino, I personally would want to win. Can't Articulate says Wicked score is an original. I agree. The other thing about it, though, is that when it utilizes soundtrack, which is, songs that are already lyrical based that you've heard before in the play and everything, those songs are fine and everything. But when it actually is just instrumental based, it's really not that good, in my opinion. It's very average. And I'm saying that as someone that had to endure it twice. So the second time when I watched it, which was after the Oscar nominations were announced, I was listening for the score, and I was listening to it. I was like, this is very forgettable. So I'm with you. I don't think it should have been in the category. I really don't. Next up, so I know I'm gonna cheat a little bit because normally I moved up all the way to the top, but at the very top is Best Picture. So I'm gonna start from the bottom with this one. So we have original screenplay. So original screenplay, this one is, I don't want to say it's a slam dunk, but it kind of is. So I have my money on Anora winning Best Original Screenplay. There is an outside chance, though, that the Academy might want to actually give original screenplay to The Substance. I could see that possibly, but at the same time, A Real Pain also could. The Brutalist, I don't think, has a shot, and same with September 5. But I think that if for some reason, if Sean Baker doesn't win Best Director, I think at the very least he has this slot in the bag, unfortunately. When I say unfortunately, I think Anora is a good film, but I do think that there's a couple other screenplays that I liked better, which was The Substance, September 5, and The Brutalist. So I personally, if I was voting, I would probably give The Substance original screenplay, but I do think it's going to go to Anora. I'm curious what you guys think. It will go to them. Next up, we have the other screenplay category, which is adapted screenplay. So adapted screenplay, this one is pretty much between Conclave and Nickel Boys. Nickel Boys is a very, very interesting screenplay. And it was only nominated for 2 Oscars, which was picture and, of course, screenplay. So maybe the Academy would say, you know what, let's give it to Nickel Boys because it wasn't nominated for anything else outside of picture. But I don't see that happening. What I see happening is Conclave winning. And honestly, of these, I would probably give it to Conclave as well. Because here's the thing. Amelia Perez, I like the film, but I had to look it up. From what I understand, Amelia Perez is based on like a chapter of a book, like a little chapter. So I personally look at that film more as an original screenplay, but they're putting it as adapted. It's like, okay, whatever. But of these, I would give it to Conclave, and what I think will win is Conclave, deservingly so. Next up, we have visual effects. This is a fun one. So with visual effects, the only one I haven't seen was Better Man. I unfortunately missed it in theaters, but I am looking forward to watching it once it hits Blu-ray. I'll get it out my local library, so I'm looking forward to watching that. Wicked, I don't think belongs in this category for visual effects. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, of course. Dune Part 2, of course. Alien and Romulus, I think the visual effects are good for the most part. I do think that the puppetry combined with the aging of a certain character that is no longer living was something that was jarring. In fact, it took me out of the film, so I wouldn't give it to that. It's really between Dune Part 2 and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. There's a chance that the Academy might say, you know what, we haven't given any of these newer CGI-based Planet of the Apes films best visual effects. Let's give it to them this time. Possibility, but I do think that Dune Part 2 will win, and I think it's the one that should win. I think the visual effects in Dune Part 2 were fantastic, and there's a possibility it might not win any other Oscars, and Dune Part 2 going empty-handed would not be cool. So I think this is the category that it will win, and it should win as well. Next up, we have sound. So for sound, ironically, I know I said that there's a possibility that Dune Part 2 will go home empty-handed if it doesn't win for visual effects. But at the same time, I have it down for visual effects. And I also do have it down for sound. Originally, I was going to go with Wicked. But I was thinking about it, and I was like, there's two other categories that we're going to give it to. So I think that sound, if you think about it, Dune Part 2, especially in Dolby, it was fantastic. It was really, really good sound mixing. So I honestly think Dune Part 2 will win in this category, but don't be surprised if something like A Complete Unknown wins. There is an outside shot that it will win. So would I be happy about that? No, because I think that Dune Part 2 should win in this category, and I hope it wins. That's my pick. Can Articulate says Dune 2 for sound. Yes. It should. It really should win. 2 Oscars for Dune Part 2. Kind of fitting. It's going the Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers route, because that's a film that, its predecessor, The Fellowship of the Ring, had a lot of Oscar nominations. But then The Two Towers came out, and it didn't really get any Oscar nominations, but it did manage to win, too. Next up, we get into live-action short films. So as I mentioned earlier, for animated short films and live-action short films, this was the first year where I actually managed to watch all 5 in each category. So I'll say this right away. Of these 5, I personally would give it to I'm Not a Robot. I thought I'm Not a Robot was really, really good. Anxiety-inducing, but at the same time, darkly comical. It's great. It really is. What do I think will win, though? I think The Man Who Could Not Remain Silent will win, but don't be surprised if Alien, wins. Alien, honestly, is like an anxiety-inducing short film. Reminded me a lot of like the Safdie brothers' work. So, don't be surprised if Alien wins, but I have down my paper that The Man Who Could Not Remain Silent will win. Next up, we have production design. So production design, it comes down to 2 films, honestly, The Brutalist and Wicked. And I think Wicked will win, unfortunately. Don't get me wrong, I think the production design in it is good, but I think The Brutalist should win. If I was voting, I would give it to The Brutalist, but I think Wicked will win. So if I were, doing an Oscar ballot, if I were you guys watching, I would put it down for Wicked, but there is a chance that The Brutalist could win. It is, after all about architects, so there is a possibility that it wins, which would be awesome because, the film didn't cost that much. Wicked, on the other hand, it costs a fortune, and it, looks, well, you guys know how I think it looks. But anyways, yeah, so what do I think will win? Wicked. What do I think should win? The Brutalist. Next up, we have the final category, which is Best Picture. So let's get out a little bit here. All right. So this is the fun category. So Best Picture, there's 10 nominees. This is preferential voting. So with preferential voting, there are some films that right away will be knocked out. So The Substance, I think, will be knocked out right away because it's a film that it's not really for everyone. It's a film that is darkly comical. And some people might not even find that dark comedy to be funny, which is fine because, humor is subjective. But it's also a film that has a lot of, body horror, and body horror is not for everyone. So I don't see The Substance winning. If The Substance did win, though, I will become an Eagles fan and take down some polls because I love The Substance, but it's not going to win. It doesn't have a shot. Snowball chance in hell at winning. Nickel Boys, I've heard some people think that the film's boring. I disagree. I think it's a really good film that will stand the test of time. I'm looking forward to rewatching it. But I think this is one of those films where it's just happy to be there. I'm Still Here. Same thing. I think it's happy to be there. It was a surprise, let's be honest, when that was announced as a nominee. Myself and many others were saying, oh, wow, I didn't know this was going to get nominated. But it's a good thing that it got nominated because now more people are going to come across it. Don't worry. I didn't forget about Wicked. I'll get to that in a moment. Emilia Perez. I think Emilia Perez actually had a genuine chance at winning Best Picture before all the controversy that, came up with Carlos Sofia Gascon. So that doesn't have a chance. Dune Part 2, it's going to sound wild to say considering that Dune, the first one, did have a solid chance at actually, winning. But Dune Part 2 doesn't have a snowball chance in hell at winning. So now we get into the five of these films, which is Wicked, Conclave, A Complete Unknown, The Brutalist, and Anora. Look, as much as I wasn't a fan of Wicked, there are a lot of fans of Wicked, like quite a bit. Now, there's a possibility that because of all the love and because of how much people love the fact that it was a faithful adaptation, they might award it. Or there might be some voters that say, you know what, let's give it to Part 2, so we're going to wait on that. So they might have it lower on the ballot. But if there's enough people that have this as number 2 or number 3 slots, there's a real possibility that Wicked could win. Do I think it will 100%? No, I don't. So I'm going to take that off. So then that leaves 4 films. Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, and Conclave. A Complete Unknown, I think the film's okay. It's very average, and I say that, but at the same time, I will be seeing it a second time because my wife hasn't seen it, but I am actually going to be watching it Saturday. So maybe on Saturday, my thoughts will change, and I'll actually think that it's a good film. But for now, I think it's just okay. But there was a lot of love for this film. And there's a real possibility that if Timothée Chalamet wins Best Actor, and if somehow, some way, it wins for Adapted Screenplay, it could potentially have an upset for Best Picture, especially with preferential voting. But I'm going to take that off. So then it's between Anora, The Brutalist, and Conclave. This is where it's realistically a 3-way race. So, hear me out on this. Please, hear me out on this. Everyone is saying Anora. Everyone is saying that it's the front runner, that it will win. I think the fact that Anora is a fairy tale type film and that, it in itself has kind of had some controversy with how it's depicted sex workers, that in itself might turn off some people, especially since it is a film that feels like it's stripped from the 80s, almost like a Pretty Woman type thing mixed with a little bit of uncut gems. So it might be a film that rubs some people the wrong way, and so they might put it down lower on the list. The same could be said with The Brutalist. I think The Brutalist actually is going to be on a lot of people's bottom half of the list, which is a shame because for me, you guys saw my ranking, I'm sure, of the nominees. I have The Brutalist as number 2. I love The Brutalist. I think it's a fantastic film. I think the film flies by. I've seen it 3 times. I'm looking forward to watching it a 4th time. But similar to Power of the Dog, I don't think that this film is necessarily for all the Academy voters. So I think that The Brutalist won't win, which is, I hate saying that. I actually think that there is a real possibility that Conclave will win. And I have it down. Long-winded, I know as I was, I think Conclave will win, and I have it down that it is going to win for Best Picture. And here's what I'm backing up with. It just recently won in a couple big award ceremonies. So it's picked up a little bit of steam. It's always been one of those films that hasn't had any controversy and is always a film that people say they think is really, really good. So in terms of preferential voting, that means that a lot of people are going to have it as their number 2 or 3 slot. So if something like Anora isn't able to have, I believe it's the percentage of 50%, it means that it's then going to go down to the number 2 or 3 slot, which then leads to Conclave. Also, think about it like this. Film editing and adapted screenplay, if it wins in those 2 categories, that could be enough for it to win Best Picture as well, because it means that there is quite a bit of support. So I know that a lot of people are saying Anora is going to win. I know that. I've heard so many people say that. But I do believe that Conclave is going to win. But at the same time, do not be surprised if Honora wins, which I know many of you won't be, but I think that Conclave will win. Also, with the politics in America and at the same time everything that's going on with the Pope and everything, it just feels like such a timely film. And I really do hope that it's a spotlight type situation where, we look back at Conclave and we say, you know what, I'm glad that won, because that's a film that's really well made. And at the same time, it's accessible, but it's also a talking point with film as an art form. So I think that it's going to win Best Picture. I'm saying that right now. What do I think? What do I want to win? The Substance or The Brutalist. Realistically, though, I would want The Brutalist to win. Even though I have The Substance as my number one favorite film of the year, I think The Brutalist is a film that is slightly more important. So, but The Substance or Brutalist, I would want to win, but I think Conclave will win. All right, let's go to the comments. Can't Articulate says Honora for me, Brutalist for the Oscars. Dude, I would be so happy if the Brutalist won. I really would. The Brutalist, I think, is going to come home with only a couple Oscar wins, but at least it's more than Power of the Dog. Because Power of the Dog, I was so upset that it only won Best Director. I was like, really? But I think that the Power of the Dog will be looked back as a classic. T-Bob79 says should be The Substance, but obviously won't be. Yeah, unfortunately. But I'm with you. I would be ecstatic if The Substance won. Right now, I have it as winning for two categories, actress and makeup. So I'm excited about that. It's very, very cool to see that The Substance got as much love as it did. T-Bob79 also says, and the Pope's not very well, real life conclave soon. Dude, yeah, I was thinking that too. I was like, oh my goodness, like there's going to be a real life conclave soon. It's also a very timely film. Like when Conclave came out, it was right before the the U.S. election, so it felt even more important when I was watching it, both before and after the election. It's a great film. I love Conclave. I'm looking forward to picking it up on 4K pretty soon. In particular, if Honora wins, I'll be an Eagles fan and climb on poles. I mean, don't be surprised if Honora wins. It's won quite a bit of the necessary categories. In fact, I believe it was the PGA and the DGA that it won. And with those two wins, I think the last time that a film won in those categories and ended up losing Best Picture at the Oscars was Brokeback Mountain. And we all know why Brokeback Mountain lost back in 2005. That's not really the case here with something like Honora, because Honora is, it's not really necessarily dealing with controversial subject matter. Although I guess some people aren't really accepting of sex work, but it is what it is. But the film itself, it is a crowd pleasing film. It is a film that has, some accessibility for more open-minded audience members, but will it get a lot of those number 2 and 3 slots at the Oscars for preferential voting? I don't know. I really don't know. Like, you guys saw my ranking. I had it at the lower half. And I'm saying that as someone that thinks it's a good film. But I don't have it in my my top 5 for preferential voting. But, I would be happy, though, for it, because it is a film that a lot of people like. And it is recently announced that it's going to be part of the Criterion Collection, which is exciting. But yeah, I'm very much so glad that you guys all, were participating in this. And yeah, I am excited, really excited for Conan O'Brien. Conan O'Brien is very funny. He was hilarious on Hot Ones, like just him with, putting the hot sauce all over his face, just acting crazy. And he's someone that seems like he really likes movies. So it's nice to have a host that really, really likes movies. It's also a very unpredictable race. I mean, Best Actress is kind of an open race. Best Picture, Best Director. There's a lot of categories where nothing is locked down. So there's really only a couple categories I think are locked down. So it's a very exciting Oscar season, and it's especially a very exciting, ceremony that is going to be coming up. So curious, though, are you guys excited for the Oscars? It's right around the corner, 7 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday. Can't Articulate says, I need Will Smith to be there again. Hey, only for falling asleep. We'll slap us awake. He'll be back. I think it was like 5 years that they banned him, so he'll be back pretty soon. I remember when he did the movie Emancipation. Um, when I saw the movie, I was like, yeah, he's not getting an Oscar nomination. Like I knew there was talk originally, but it's like he's not going to get an Oscar nomination for this. But he hasn't really been working since that incident happened. So actually, I think he's coming out with what's that movie? There's a movie that was pretty popular almost 2 decades ago. He's doing a sequel to. What's that movie called? I forget the name of it. I feel terrible for saying that. T-Bop 79, I think it was 10 years. Oh, snap. That's a long time. Okay, so that would be, let's see, it was for 2021 films, but it was early 2022, so 2032. Okay. So he has 7 years. Can't articulate I Am Legend. No, it was another film. Let me look it up. Will Smith movies. It was a romantic comedy. I didn't see the movie yet. I'll probably watch it right before the sequel comes out. Let me see. It was with Vince Vaughn, I believe. Let me see. Hitch. That's the one. Apparently Hitch is getting a sequel. So that's the one that he's doing a sequel to. Although Hancock, I didn't know that. Is Hancock getting a sequel? I did not like Hancock, but maybe I should rewatch it. But I was not a fan of it when I saw it all those years ago. Many years ago, actually, as a young teenager. I don't know if now as an adult I'd be able to, say like, you know what, I liked Hancock, but at the time I was just like, this is so dull. Not even the action was entertaining. And I remember even back then, I was like, this feels like a movie that was stitched together. And I remember reading up that it was originally supposed to be like R-rated, and they watered it down. I was like, oh, that makes sense. But yeah, I Am Legend I know is getting a sequel, which I think it's a bold, but at the same time kind of like, kind of decision because it's a sequel to the alternate ending, which I've seen because I'm a pretty big physical media collector. But how many people have actually seen the I Am Legend alternate ending? Most people that have seen I Am Legend know the ending, and it's like, how's that going to work? So we'll see. Can't articulate Will Smith confirmed it. I actually liked it, but last I watched it was when it came out. LOL. Oh wow, so it was a long time ago. Okay. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll watch it a second time. I just remember the twist as to who also has superhero powers. I was like, really? But yeah, it was a very short movie, but I felt like it moved pretty fast with pretty big events. So, but yeah, like I said, maybe I'll watch it again. But oh, guys, I'm so beat. I watched Moonlight in IMAX, and what a sad film! Like, holy cow, such a great film, though. Oh, I am so exhausted by it, but it's in like a great way. It's in my top 10 of all time. And next month, Spring Breakers is going to be in IMAX, which I am very excited to see on the big screen because I've never seen that on the big screen. Even though I watched it back in December, I'm going to, take that advantage. And I'm curious what else is going to be playing this year because it seems like IMAX pairing up with A24 is something that is going to be the norm, and I'm all for it. Can't articulate. I just watched Unforgiven. Great film. Yes, fantastic film. I know why you watched it too, which I want to address. Gene Hackman, R.I.P. Man, what a fantastic actor. I remember this morning I was on the treadmill and I looked just on Facebook and I saw someone posted about Gene Hackman dying. Now keep in mind this was like 5:30 a.m. and I'm like 5:30 a.m. They're announcing that he died. I'm like, all right, let me check this through some other sources. And I checked other sources too that also were saying it. So I was like, okay, yeah, he passed away. And I'm like, that's a shame. He was a great actor. I know he was, no spring chicken at age 95, but it's still sad to hear that, because he was one of my favorite actors. I loved him in you said it, Unforgiven. I thought he was fantastic in that. I loved him in Mississippi Burning, Bonnie and Clyde. Um, even something like Crimson Tide, which is like a popcorn munching film. He was great in that. Just someone that had a lot of range. Like he was excellent at playing good guys, but he was also really good at playing bad guys and also playing characters that have that morally gray compass, such as Popeye Doyle in The French Connection. So, yeah. Godzilla, I first found out about it at 3 a.m. Eastern Time, and some people thought it was fake. Yeah, especially since the circumstances. You gotta love America with conspiracy theories. Like when I read that he died with his his wife and then one of his dogs, I didn't think for a second like, oh my goodness, foul play. I just thought, oh wow, that's sad. But then I started reading some people saying like, oh, there's foul play involved, and I'm like, let's hear all the facts first. Again, I went to work and then I went to the movies, so I haven't really heard any update other than, from what I understand, Gene Hackman was in the mudroom when he died, and then his wife was in the bathroom with a bunch of pills. So I don't know if maybe it was the pills, maybe there was like an accidental overdose or an overdose. I don't know, truthfully, but Americans with their conspiracy theories, right? Godzilla, Hoosiers. I'm a Hoosiers fan. I'm a Hoosier, so that film will always have a warm spot for me. Ironically, I watched that film for the first time earlier this year because it's part of AFI's top 10 sports films, and I liked it. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and he was really good in that. And that's again a role that he plays like a good, upstanding type person. And yeah, he was really good in it. He was really good in it. So I can definitely see why you like Hoosiers quite a bit. I enjoyed it. I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it. Can't articulate. I should watch more of him. I always heard good things about him. I only watched him from Superman. So it's funny you mentioned Superman because I only saw the last like 20 minutes of Superman when I was like 10, 11. So I am way overdue to watch Superman. In fact, last year I was originally supposed to watch Superman 1 to 4 and then Superman Returns, but I pushed it off. So Gene Hackman passing, maybe this gives me a reason to finally watch him in Superman. But yeah, can't articulate. If you want some recommendations of his work, that's excellent in my opinion. Mississippi Burning, fantastic performance. He's also great in The French Connection. But The French Connection is a film that is a slow burn. It's a procedural-based film. Not necessarily for everyone, from what I understand. I had a movie night, and everyone did not like it. I was the sole person that loved it. So take that for what you will, but he is great in it. Crimson Tide, popcorn munching film. He's good in that. And then Bonnie and Clyde is one of his early work, and he's really good in that as well. It's actually, I think it was his first Oscar nomination, so he was good in that. And then if you want a comedy, he has a very, very brief role, cameo, if you will, in Little Frankenstein. And he's really good in that as well. So yeah, he's a great actor. He will be missed. But it was weird, man, because David Lynch died on a Thursday where it was like all snowy weather. And then, of course, Gene Hackman died and it was like rainy out near me. And I'm like, who's going to die next? Steven Spielberg? Like David Fincher? Like how many times am I going to get hit hard? Or Daniel Day-Lewis? Like no more death. I know it's all part of the, it's all part of life, but still. T-Bob79, The Conversation is my favorite of his. I'm glad that you mentioned that film because I don't know why it slipped my mind. Because ironically, okay, so I'm going to go on a quick little story. I've been pushing back buying The Conversation on 4K physical media because it's $80. To be fair, it is a really nice looking box set. Steel book. It has, a cassette tape. It has posters. It's the full 9 yards in regards to what physical media is all about in regards to for collectors. But it's $80. Like I have not spent $80 on one film before. But Gene Hackman dying today was what made me say, you know what, I'm going to buy this. So I bought it on the Lionsgate website, along with not a film that's of course starring him, but I also bought what's it called? I can't believe I'm blanking. What's it called? 1 second. Sorry, sometimes when it gets late at night, it's like I forget things that I should 100% know. Oh, The Third Man. That's the one. Yeah, so I ended up buying The Third Man alongside the conversation because shipping for that website, it's like, oh, anything under $100. I think it's like $20 shipping. I'm like, yeah, I'm not spending $100 for a movie. You know what? I'm just gonna put The Third Man on there as well. So yeah, the conversation is great. I've seen it 3 times. I'm looking forward to watching it a 4th time. This time on 4K physical media. So that's my story with Conversation. I think it's a great film as well. Great performance by him too. Can't articulate, knock on wood. Ironically, my table is wood, so did that just now. But yeah, guys, just wanted to say I appreciate all you guys' support. Stay tuned on my channel. Some of the upcoming videos, since you guys are in the chat, you guys will be the first to know this, or you guys can join my Patreon where you guys will not only be the first to know about my videos that are upcoming, but you'll get to see them first. But in terms of scheduled videos, there are quite a bit to look forward to. February 28th, which is tomorrow, my top 10 favorite James Horner film scores. That video will be released. March 1st. This was a very fun video to do. Top 10 films that are better on rewatch. That video will be released. And then March, I'll say some of the March ones as well. March 8th, I'll be releasing my Alex Garland's films ranked worst to best video. And then March 15th, I'll be releasing my 1997 Academy Award Best Picture nominees ranked video, which was also fun to film when I filmed it, which from what I remember was over a year ago. So, but I still stand by that ranking. But yeah, those are some of the upcoming videos. Bootzilla, thanks, Chad. And where's my pick for best picture, by the way? All right, so yeah, you're probably going to be right in regards to it winning, but I have a gut feeling it's going to be Conclave, but I could see Anora winning. Bootzilla, also, I watched all your best picture rankings in 4 to 5 days. Great stuff. Oh, come on. The video wasn't that long, right? But thank you for watching. I can't articulate. Alex Garland, nice choice. Yeah, I filmed the video. Let's see, when did Civil War come out? I think it was April last year. So, yeah, I filmed it almost a year ago. Yeah. So as soon as I saw Civil War, I was like, all right, let me put together this ranking list. So I did it, and yeah, it's going to be coming out. I still stand by it. Yeah, it's going to be fun to see the comments for that director, because I feel like Alex Garland, there's no consensus on what his ranking is in terms of his film. So I'm excited for that. All right, guys, I said, this live stream would be almost an hour. So I do have work quite early tomorrow, but I just wanted to say one thing. Sorry, Bootzilla said one comment. Bootzilla, I meant your yearly best picture ranking from the 90s to 2023. Oh, holy cow, dude, thanks. I appreciate it. Okay, in that case, that makes much more sense, because, yeah, the 90s to 2023, yeah, that's a lot. Right now, the 1980s, I have them locked in. I already have them scheduled. I think I filmed that a year ago as well. But I have the 1970s all done in terms of like the ranking. But I still need to film it, edit it, and then I'll release that for next year. So stay tuned for that. But thank you. I appreciate the support. Beamer Bro 1 is in the chat. It says, get a good night's sleep. Thanks, bro. I appreciate it. Can't articulate says, see you. But yeah, guys, I appreciate all you guys' support. Stay tuned for the next live stream, as well as all those videos I mentioned. And yeah, let's get ready for the Oscars. I will see you guys later.